There's something bubbling right now that might require my attention at some point, but I think we're good. If I had to boil my year down into two big takeaways, I would say there is a huge appetite for information that economists have in the policy process. What is challenging is that the research is not always in a form that is directly applicable to the policy question that's at hand. So thinking about how we apply that research to a certain situation is actually quite complex. I think that that's a large part of what our role here at the CEA is to take research that has been done and sort of process it and package it into a way that can be used by decision makers and policymakers in the process. Another big takeaway that I have is in academia, we're often sort of thinking about our area of expertise kind of as fitting into this neat little box. And we're often somewhat hesitant to veer outside of the box. And what I understand better now from being on the other side is that the question is not just, should I say something or should I not say something? The question is, if I don't say something about it, someone else is controlling the narrative, and that person likely knows much less than I do about the topic at hand. I think people can have a bigger influence than they think they can because they want to know what the experts are saying, and they want to ensure that those viewpoints are really taken into consideration when they're finalizing different policies. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on the policy process that I didn't have before, and that I can use that knowledge to help CEPR also fulfill its goals of increasing the chances that research makes a difference in the policy process. People in our profession have a responsibility. They have a lot of knowledge that is very applicable to a lot of different policy areas. Part of the reason CEPR exists is so that its faculty affiliates can have their research be a part of the policy process. As far as the OSHA work goes, the Supreme Court ultimately ruled to not allow the emergency temporary standard to stand. I was kind of disappointed about this and felt like a lot of work went into this, and it's a shame that it didn't hold up. But even just by taking this action and having it be in effect for a short amount of time, it probably did provide some extra nudges to different employers to sort of, and more people probably got vaccinated as a result of that, even if though it was only in force for a few months. And I think that's something important to think about, is that we tend to think about a policy goes into effect, and if it doesn't stay in effect, it doesn't have any influence. When in reality, even if it's in effect for a short amount of time, it can still actually influence a lot of outcomes. And it's not just what eventually stays in effect that matters. It's also kind of that short-term reach that it may have had. So, and that's something that I hadn't really considered before. If I reflect upon the last year, part of me is sad to leave. If it were entirely up to me, I would probably want to stay a bit longer because I feel like I would have a bit longer time to sort of reap the benefits of a lot of the investment that I made early on. So while we're excited to head back, we're also sad in a lot of ways to leave because it's been such a fun year for all of us as a family.
Today, as September 1st, is actually my first day back at CEPR. And through my experiences in Washington, I have a lot of ideas of different initiatives to try.
Where is it? Hey, welcome back.
Good to see you. One thing that I learned from my year away is that there's a huge appetite for evidence in the policy process. But oftentimes, the people who are making these policy decisions, they don't even always know where to look. And I intend to try a new initiative at CEPR to help facilitate that process. I think for a lot of people, as you get to a certain stage in your career, you spend most of your early career really building your research portfolio and trying to get publications and citations and so on. But at some point, a lot of people try to figure out what else they want to do. And I think this experience really helped me understand that I have a passion for connecting research to policy. All of this really, it just stretched my brain in ways that I hadn't really exercised in many years. So this experience really pushed me, and I wasn't really totally prepared for that, but I also enjoyed it more than I think I would have expected. And that actually made me realize just how much I had learned